What's up guys, this is Ultimate iDevice Vids, and today in this video we're going to be doing a speed test between the iPhone 13, the iPhone 12, and the iPhone 11. So as of recording this video, Apple's three latest generations of standard phone offerings. And a few things before we get started, all three devices are running at peak performance capacity in regards to battery health, and also they're all running the latest iOS version as of recording this video, which is iOS 15.0. Let's go ahead and kick things off with the boot up test. So with all devices currently connected to the same power strip, we're going to go ahead and turn off all three phones. And once they're fully off, we're going to turn on the power strip, which is going to power on all of the three iPhones at the same time. And I'm not going to cut anything out of this sequence. I want you guys to see the uncut boot up time. And as I often say, you should definitely keep in mind that a boot up test is not representative of how a device is going to perform in all areas. But as you're seeing here, the iPhone 13 and iPhone 12 basically started up at the same time and then followed a few seconds later by the iPhone 11. And with the app switchers on all three of these devices cleared, let's go ahead and move on to some app launching tests. So we're going to start off with some very light applications that are commonly used day to day. And as you can see here, the difference is very imperceivable across all three of these devices for these light applications. If there is ever a difference, it leans slightly in the favor of the newer devices, but it's pretty imperceivable in the grand scheme of things. And as I often say, of course, when you're comparing devices head to head like this, you're going to notice little differences, but in day-to-day life, you're never going to notice such small differences. And even as we get into some of the slightly heavier game applications here, you can see, again, any difference there is very small. So as you're seeing, all three of these devices are very capable of handling day-to-day applications without a problem. And even as we start to get into some of the heavier applications, some of the heavier games, you can see, again, there's maybe a slightly more noticeable difference between the older devices and the newer devices, but it's still very small and something you wouldn't perceive as slow or laggy in day-to-day life. And this is to be expected. When you're comparing generations that are 1 year apart like this, you're just going to see small little bumps in performance with each year, which over a long period of time does of course add up. But again, when you're looking at just such small steps like this, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And moving on to the last big application, which is Asphalt 9 here. This application always takes a very long time to launch, especially on older devices. But you can see it's basically straight down the line from the 13 to the 12 to eventually the 11. And I also wanted to quickly throw in a few stock applications, starting off with the camera and Safari as well, which, as you can see, once again, pretty minor difference as to be expected, especially with stock applications across the board. Next up, we're going to do a consecutive app launching test. So I'm going to be launching the same set of applications consecutively, one after the next, on all three of these devices. And I'm going to show each device side by side just to give you a general idea of what it's going to look like in day-to-day life when rapidly switching between applications on all three of these phones. So with all three app switchers cleared, let's go ahead and begin. So kicking things off here, as you can see with some lighter applications once again, you can see all devices just blazing through these applications, quickly getting in and out of them. I specifically noticed that the iPhone 13 and iPhone 12 were totally neck and neck throughout the majority of this test, again, especially the beginning. And the 11 is keeping up quite well as well, just a few seconds behind, give or take, the iPhone 12 and iPhone 13. Again, nothing you'd notice in day-to-day life. And the same thing applies here once we start to get into some of the slightly heavier applications. The difference between the three generations does start to be a little bit more apparent, most so with the iPhone 11. But again, this is only really perceivable because these three devices are being compared head to head. This is not something that you'd ever really feel slowed down by when using your device. And towards the end of the test, we are launching some pretty hefty, big applications, pretty big games. So it's pretty impressive across the board that they're all able to handle these apps so well. So we'll just go ahead and speed up a little bit to get through this sequence a little bit faster here. And directly after the consecutive app launching test, we're just going to go back into each application that we opened, starting from top to bottom, just to see if any of the applications were closed in the background to test out the RAM management of these three phones. Of course, we didn't really do anything that CPU intensive that I would think would warrant any of these phones to close any applications in the background, but I just wanted to check in just to be safe on the RAM management. And as to be expected, all applications remained open on all three of these, so nothing to worry about there. Next, I want to quickly run a Face ID test. So with all three devices pointed at my face, shown next to each other, we're just going to tap on the screen here. And as you can see there, blazing fast on all of them, nothing to complain about there. And real quick, in Safari, I just want to load a few web pages here. Of course, with devices of this much power, you're not going to have any issues with loading basic web pages, as you can see here, just blazing fast across the board, loading all of these web pages, as you can see. All right, so lastly, we're going to run some benchmarks. So we're going to start off with Geekbench. We're just going to run a CPU benchmark on all three of these. And here are the results. As you can see, some improvements in the numbers as to be expected. And I also want to run an Antutu benchmark as well. So we'll go into there and run that. And here's the Antutu results. So as you've seen throughout this video, all three of these devices run very fast. They're very well optimized as to be expected. So that just about wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys use any of these devices, let me know down below in the comments section how the performance is for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.